So as you know by now, since you're here, we're going to be taking a look at this. This, of course, is the Transformers Legacy, or I suppose you could say it's my first Legacy Evolution review, since this is getting a repackage in the Legacy Evolution line. Anyway, you cut it. This is my look at the Leader Class Transmetal 2 Megatron, whom I did not plan to initially get, because I was really thrown by the left arm that is the complete like dragon head, and I forgot for some reason that that's the way it was in the animation. For some reason in the animation I thought he had two normal arms. I don't know, but it was throwing me for a loop, I guess because of the asymmetrical nature of it. Nevertheless, the holidays happened, this guy happened, and I'm kind of happy to say that now we get an opportunity to not only look at it and see if the hype is real, but we can compare it to the earlier Leader Class Megatron, we can compare it to Optimus Primal from the Kingdom line, and we can even compare it to the Power of the Prime's Optimal Optimus, a comparison I was very intrigued to make. So without any further ado, let's jump into the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please, as it helps me out a lot, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links, all of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is the Leader Class Transformers Legacy Transmetal 2 Megatron. Like I said, it is getting repackaged in Legacy Evolution. And really the artwork and stuff looks the same, it just has the Evolution packaging. And I think it might be a good idea. I know that this has been very popular. And I know that there are people who wanted it, and at the time that it came out and whatnot, with the holidays and being the end of the Legacy line and whatnot, they just couldn't see clear to get it at the time. Maybe they can with Evolution. What do I think of it now that I have it in hand? Is the hype real? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. Ah yes, Transformers Legacy, Beast Wars, Transmetal 2 Megatron. Yes, beware the dragon. So here we have, of course, Leader Class Megatron in his dragon mode. I wasn't going to get this. I was thinking to myself, I don't know, because the dragon arm was really throwing me off. For some reason, I didn't remember him having it in the show, and I just remember him having two arms. Nevertheless, the holidays happened, and this guy happened, and that's the way it goes. So now we're going to get an opportunity to see just how good it is, because I'm not going to lie. I always loved the dragon look, and I did always love the coloration, and I often thought to myself, man, it'd be nice if I had that in plastic. And I used to see the original and think to myself, I don't know if that's really the version I want, because it seemed off to me with the great big left dragon arm. This one, I felt the same thing, but the more I looked and the more I studied, the more I realized I was the one who was wrong all along. Of course, before we look at him, let's look at the packaging first, and you can see up here the big dragon mode, and down here he's in his robot mode. Over here, of course, you can see the dragon up close, and you can see his face up close. Now, it's interesting, they very much went for an homage of the way the original, I guess, like toy looked rather than the show, because this isn't accurate to the animation, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit. Of course, we have over here the Decepticon junk and stuff, and back here the QR code, and our boy in both modes with his flame effect. Namely this flame effect, and the part I'm holding on to is a 5mm peg. It goes in the mouth of the dragon, as you saw in the opening footage. You can kind of see him and the instructions back here. He can also hold it in his hand like a bat, I guess, like a fire bat. That's pretty cool. Oh yeah, speaking of the instructions, they're gigantic. And here we have Megatrons in all of their glory, one next to the other. Of course, this is the Kingdom Leader Class version, who clocks in at a whopping 334 grams of plastic. He is hefty, and he definitely has a face that is evocative of the Beast Wars cartoon. He still, And while this guy has great presence and stature, he still comes up slightly shorter than the new one. We're going to talk about the mass of the new one in a few moments. Strangely, we don't have the in-between mode, which is just that Transmetal 1 Megatron. And while that's a great mode, really great mode, honestly, this is what I think of when I think of Megatron. And if I think of something upgraded, I tend to jump to this one, and I don't know why. Probably because of the epic showdown near the end with his arch nemesis, Optimal Optimus. I love this, and I feel like Optimus should have been slightly bigger than Megatron anyway. Maybe I'm wrong about that, because when they tussled, I'm really not sure if they were the exact same size or if one was slightly bigger than the other. I know that there was that moment there where, I mean, Megatron had Optimus like dead to rights, you know, he was ready to be done with him, right? But like, I'm not sure exactly how they scale, but I feel like this is pretty good. Of course, this is the Power of the Primes, Optimal Optimus from a few years ago, and he does have the DNA design upgrade kit, so he can do all of his modes. And this, well, this doesn't exactly work, right? I mean, this never would have been a matchup, but a lot of people who have only come into collecting in the last couple of years might not have that Optimal Optimus. I've heard people make calls for like a Commander class version or something like that. And I mean, maybe, you know, I understand that stock as it was, that one didn't do all of the modes. For me, I went in on the upgrade kit and stuff, so it does for me, and it works for me, and the scale works for me. But I totally understand how if you have this Megatron, you really need an upgrade version of Optimus Primal. There. Too many Optimus and Optimals being thrown around. Gets confusing for an old man like me. Okay, so let's look for the guy. I'm going to give it a solid 9. It's not a full 10, but I'm giving it a solid 9. So why am I saying a 9 and not a 10? Well, let's start from the bottom and work our way up. I'm pretty sure that the gold is fine, all of the red hair is fine, the purple hair is fine. Out on the little spikes on the side of his knee, I'm pretty sure that they're supposed to be green, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but because it's hard to go on the animation model, but I'm pretty sure that there's definitely a green highlight missing. I think it's on these spikes. The tattered wings are really, really cool here, especially if we like splay them out, but I feel like them being in multiple pieces is certainly different than the way that they were on the animation. Like, they seemed like they were more one cohesive piece on the animation. Since we have that one out, why not? Because it's gorgeous. I love the look of this. Like, don't get me wrong, this wingspan and the way the fade and stuff is done is gorgeous. It's just the wings themselves could be a little more accurate. As we come up the body, really everything on the thighs, the hips, and the main torso seems very accurate with the purple and the claws and everything. The arm over here seems quite accurate for, again, the most part. We're probably missing a little bit of gold detail up around right here, minor. Of course, up here, not the whole orange. The very top up here should be orange, but and you can see the molded in shape on the brim. That shouldn't be orange. That should be painted red on the brim. Of course, it seems like the stylization of the claws, I guess, on the side of his head, that's a little bit different than the animation, or certainly a little bit different depending on which animation you're looking at. The dragon head looks quite good. I mean, it's not much. That's why it's getting a 9. It's just a couple of very minor things that could have put it to a 10. To be fair though, if you're measuring it on his original like plastic iteration, I mean, this is probably a 10. It's probably even closer to the actual. It's certainly more accurate than the 2001 BotCon version, which, by the way, used that like RID Megatron, Gigatron, Galvatron mold that has like 11 modes, and that's glorious. And you definitely knew it looked like Beast Wars Transmetal 2 Megatron, but it still wasn't exactly animation accurate, right? And this is certainly more accurate than the, like that Beast Machines Mega one, where he's like in his cloak thing. But when you open up the cloak, lo and behold, it's the dragon body inside of it. Who knew? So I do think that this is quite impressive in that regard. Let's do the articulation, because a 9 is a really strong start. So the wings, they go back and forth. This piece here also moves. Again, as you know, these can open up or they can close back up, depending on how you want things to go. Take this out of his wrist. The head, it can go left and right. You're not really getting any up or down with it because, and you have a limited left and right because of his ponytail back here, his like dragon tail ponytail, right? By the way, on the Mega Beast Machines one, this tail that's up here is actually over here on the elbow, right? That's what the dragon tail's on there. But yeah, left and right. The waist is ratcheted left and right. This arm, let's do this arm first. So this arm goes all the way around on a soft ratchet, out to the side, bicep swivel, shoulder swivel, super deep elbow, I mean goes all the way. A wrist that can flip back like that if that's any good to you. Unfortunately, because of transformation, there is no wrist swivel. That's a bummer. Over here we have a swivel. Actually, let's do the whole thing. Let's do the whole thing. So we have a ratcheted shoulder joint, again, all the way out to the side. We have a swivel right up near the top, tight too, and a ball joint, a ball joint, a ball joint. But if you're going to bend the arm, like, you're still not getting super deep, right? It is what it is. The ball joints are there, but these plastic panels kind of throw them off. Yes, the head can also move up and down and move around, so that really depends on what you're looking for. The head doesn't go any more out than that though, so it's always at a little bit of an angle, and the blast effect is always at an angle. The mouth closes, but only that far. It doesn't close completely, but honestly, it looks really, really, really beautiful. So a limited elbow, I guess we would say, you know, I guess we'll say limited elbow and no wrist so far. The legs out to the side all the way. Then we have ratchet to the front, getting all of this out of the way, ratchet to the back. Thigh, well, yeah, thigh swivel, like it's right here. There's a cut right there. Super duper deep, 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 deep knee. And then when we get to the ankles, we have forward and back, and we do have an ankle tilt in. I mean, we're missing a wrist, and besides that, I guess the elbow and the other arm, I suppose. But there's a lot of movement you can still get with it. I'm going to say 8.5. It's pretty good, but I do wish we had a wrist built in, and I do wish that the panels on the inside of the arm here, or maybe the bars in between the ball pegs or something, was just a little longer, just to allow a little deeper of like an elbow bend, right? Nothing major. 8.5 is still very good, but again, we're paying quite a premium dollar here, at least in Canada, for this. And I think that a couple of more little bells and whistles would have put it right over the top, right? I don't feel like I really overpaid or anything for this. It is glorious and it has tremendous presence. But I acknowledge that we could have had just a couple of slight little things. Still, 8.5 is not bad, right? We had 9, 8.5, 8.75. Let's see how the transformation goes, shall we? So, we're going to push the head back a little bit. We're going to take these claws off, and we're going to pull that whole front piece down. We're going to take this whole section here and bring it back and kind of down around 4 now. We're going to come here, and I love this. We fold this out, and those claws that were on his chest are his actual claws for his dragon motor. Love it. Think that's really cool. We open out this little panel, gold panel piece here. We fold this up. When we fold this up, there's a rectangular peg on the wrist that goes into a slot on the shoulder. And I'm going to bring this down. Slot on the shoulder, and see if I can get that in now here on camera. Yeah, I did. And then there's a rectangular peg here on the, I'll say almost elbow, and that goes into a rectangular slot right there on the inner body when you fold this in, like that. Then we take the entire thing here. Oh, and we can bring this forward. We take the entire thing here, and we should be, oh, I was gonna say we should be able to rotate it up, but not yet. We gotta remember, I always forget this. These panels here on the side, they need to come down. Should have had this done over here before I tabbed that in. Oh man, now I gotta untab that. There. Let's try getting that in again. Yeah, it worked. We bring that down and around. We straighten up his hand and we bring that down over the hand. So now the arm is in here, all tabbed in. This is down over. Some people have had tabbing issues with that. I have not, luckily. Then we bring this whole piece. Hold on, let me make sure I got all of that done. Make sure I got that dragon arm out, that dragon arm out. Then this whole piece comes up and over thusly. And I guess we can even angle the dragon head. Naturally, that's kind of gone. Gone out of screen? Yeah, it's gone a little bit of the screen there and now. Okay, so, and I guess we can take these out. Some people, when they take these out, like to bring these in. Some people leave them in for robot and bring them up for dragon. I like to have them up for dragon, just so he has as many kind of claws and stuff as he can. Let's do the like legs and stuff now. So we're going to split the guy at the hips because the whole chest and back piece will need to come through and tab in. There's, I don't know if I can show this. There's like a hole right here and a vertical slot and like when this comes through you'll see a hole and a vertical slot and that'll go tabbed in. The legs come forward like this and the knees bend back like that for the dragon leg. So the leg comes forward like this out of package. Bringing that forward was a little bit brutal. And we do that. Then we bring this up through. Hold on, make sure I got this all down. There we go. And you'll notice right here, we have a, right here, we have a peg, we have a rectangular, I don't know what you call it, another peg. We have a circular peg and a rectangular peg. That's the ones that are going to peg into the sides of the hips there. So let me make sure that I got that correctly. There. There. Okay. Whew. This is kind of hard. So this whole gold piece kind of comes up under the legs, and when it comes up you're going to have to push it all the way up, and then we have the circular peg and the rectangular peg. They'll go into the legs, and then this will come all up around the front. I'm not going to lie, getting these pegs pegged in is a little bit of a bear, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it honestly on camera because everything has to be just right. It's super solid when it's done, but everything needs to be just right for it. I'm kind of getting it there, but not quite. That comes up over the front, and boom. In the end, here we have Dragon Transmetal 2 Beast Wars Megatron. Yes! Just so we're clear, I went back and solidified the leg pegs a little bit, and now this would come up over. And oh baby, isn't this cool? I mean, look at the presence and the stature. Yes, if you want to bring the hips forward and have him be in more of like a flight mode, yes, you can certainly do that. I mean, the legs really, for the most part, retain all of the motion that they always had. The head can look way down, it can look to the side, right? It can twist to the side, the mouth opens and closes. So the neck and stuff, while it's a bit limited in the robot mode, like it gives you a lot of options here in the dragon mode, the legs retain, like, just pop those pegs off, but the legs remain the out to the side motion, the thigh swivel, the knee. Why did that come on? I had to do it now while I was on camera. The tail, of course, his head is like back here again, like part of his butt, right? The tail again. It has a bunch of ball pegs and stuff and can move all around like a tail should. The wings can still flap back and forth. I heard a lot of hype about this guy. I personally was like, I don't know, man, because of the There he is with the fire as well, because of the feelings I had about that left arm being the whole dragon head all the time. But boy, oh boy, honestly, very interesting transformation. Everything kind of moves. I mean, the claws, by the way, these arms, full mobility all the way around, back. Take that out of it. We have a little bit of an elbow here. The claw, like, it's all one piece, but it can rotate all the way around and move up and down. So, like, there's a lot of mobility there. He was getting a 8.75. And honestly, I think the transformation's a 10. I think it's a knockout. The way the entire back flips down around and through his legs and comes up to be the front. The way the hips are apart, but it's not like with the Kingdom one where it's like brutal. The way the entire right arm folds up and tabs in everywhere nice and tightly. The whole body turns so that the other arm becomes the head. It's just, it harkens back to the original a lot. It doesn't have the gimmicks, but it doesn't need it. It's pretty great as it is. He was getting an 8.75, a 10 for the transformation. This is honestly, I would say, solid 9.25. It's a very strong offering, much stronger than I thought it was going to be. Now, the only thing that's left is the issue of mass. And as I look at the scale here, this guy clocks in at 296 grams. Is that what it is? 296? Yeah, 296 grams of plastic. Now, that's less than the traditional 315 to 325. But I do think that in this case, we have enough textured body detail, because everything is textured body detail on it, and enough paint and enough pieces that, you know what, it's in the ballpark. This is one of those cases where, yes, we gave up some mass, but we definitely have value in other places. Do I wish that we had a little more mass, maybe one more accessory, maybe the couple of extra paint apps for a couple of more grams? I would have felt better if this clocked in at 300 grams of plastic rather than 296. But I'm not angry about this, because what's done right is done so very right. In the end, he is absolutely fantastic. Ooh, baby, and here we are once again, and here he is. So, far more impressed than I thought I was going to be. I thought that the ponytail on the back of his head was really going to be a distraction for me. It's not. It does, I guess, somewhat hinder the head movement a bit, but not enough that it bothers me. Like, I still feel like I can pretty much do what I want with the head, at least for the most part. More up and down motion naturally would be nice. I do wish we had the red around the molded in detail on the very edge. Leave the orange translucent up here. The face, a lot of people say it doesn't really look like Megatron, and it has the teeth and whatnot, and I get that. It looks more like the original, you know, Beast Wars release rather than the animation. But in hand and looking at it, I'm like, it looks more like Megatron than I thought. Yes, I wish that some of the detailing around the face was a little more accurate, but I'm cool with it. The textured detail on the body, the paint, very well done, very nicely done. Yes, the guy gives up some mass, arguably a little too much mass, but the textured detail and the way the paint fades and the way it is on his body and just the overall texturing on the mold, I get it, the value went in there. I do like that the actual dragon arms are the claws on his chest, it's not faux, and I even like how all of this can kind of fold down under and come up through and peg in to give a really great looking dragon mode. The way the torso turns and this arm folds up and this whole arm comes up over the top is great. I understand why I don't want to say the limitation, but I guess it's the limitation of this arm is the way it is, because you wanted the most movement possible for the dragon head in dragon mode. That said, you can pretty much move this a lot of ways you want. The only complaint I could really have about it is I wish the elbow was deeper naturally. Is the hype real? Yeah, I think it is. I think that this is a strong release. Is it better than the Kingdom one? Arguable. It depends on which version you like. The Kingdom one definitely has more mass and heft, but I know a lot of people had breakage issues and stuff with that, and I haven't heard of any such issues with this. In fact, this is one of the legacy releases that I don't think I've heard of any QC on at this point anyway. Solid, big, hefty. I loved the animation design of this guy in the cartoon oh so many years ago, and while I didn't get the original, largely because of this arm, I gotta say, while I wasn't planning necessarily on getting this, I am pleasantly delighted with the end result. And though he gives up some mass, I feel like the value is added in the texture detail and the paint and you know, the overall kind of, you know, detail and all the molding, that I think that that's where the value was made up, because it's not a simple mold by any stretch of the imagination. Plus, the engineering for the transformation is quite clever. As for the accessory, I guess it's okay for what it is. A lot stronger of an offering than I thought it was gonna be. Let me know what you think about Transmetal 2 Megatron. Were you more impressed with him than you thought you were gonna be? Just as impressed? Or were you even let down? Although I don't think I've heard of anybody let down by this yet. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring. Or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. And especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day, you right there, yeah, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.